Howdy, folks. I'm a frog entirely composed of pistachios named Cranberry.
I'm Amber.
Ribbit. Our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my boyfriend he shouldn't grab food from my kitchen without asking first? So basically, I'm a 25-year-old male and I've been dating this amazing guy for about a year now. Recently, I got COVID and my boyfriend was hanging out at my house while I found out. We decided to quarantine together in my apartment to prevent further spread. One day, my boyfriend just stood up and told me he was going to grab a snack. I stopped him from doing that because I felt like that was very rude of him. Just walk into my kitchen and grab stuff that he didn't buy. After that, he became noticeably irritated, but didn't talk about it. It started to annoy me because he should have just asked before grabbing something that isn't his, right? I told him that he needed to stop acting like a spoiled brat. Since then, we haven't really been speaking much, and I feel like he's just waiting until he can go home again. Am I the jerk in this situation? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Jerk.
OP, this isn't. There's certainly. I agree with you under potentially normal circumstances. You should have someone ask to utilize your food. However, you two are quarantined together. You can't just like starve your boyfriend here. It's not a reasonable perspective, I don't think. I think like yeah, you're entitled to control the food however you like, but at a certain point it just becomes kind of ridiculous to be like, "Oh, can I mother may I go and get food?" It just is like why? Why even bother with that? If you really want to be reimbursed for this later, then that needed to be a conversation for you two to have or whatever, right? So I do understand your frustration with him potentially taking food from you, but I don't really think you approach this in a good or healthy way, and I'm not surprised that he's upset at you, especially since you folks have been dating for a year now. So that's a long time, and I think that there's a lot of nuance here that we could go one way or another. And while technically you might be right, I still think it was kind of a jerk move. That's kind of my thought. Anyhow, take care and good luck. You're the jerk. He's living in your house for 2 weeks. You really expect him to ask your permission every time he's hungry? You presumably bought the toilet paper too. Does he need your permission to wipe his butt? Not to mention, they've been together for a year. He needs permission to grab a snack after a year? I don't understand what OP is doing here. Most couples try to make each other feel at home at their place. OP is treating his boyfriend like he is a major inconvenience, like this is some kind of short term thing. The boyfriend should be rethinking the relationship. You better only be using 6 squares in there. I'll count them. You're the jerk. Of course, he's just waiting until he can go home. You agreed to quarantine together, which means he can't just run out and get food. And you're acting like he's stealing from you because he wants a snack. Get out of here with that. You've been dating for a year and you can't share your food with him when he's quarantining with you, and you call him a spoiled brat for being annoyed by your response. You'll be lucky if you still have a boyfriend after quarantine. OP won't. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Correcting My Ex's New Wife? I'm a 48-year-old female and I was married to my ex Jim for 20 years. We have 3 kids, a 22-year-old female, a 20-year-old male, an 18-year-old male, and have been divorced for 5 years. Both of us are now remarried, but we maintain a good relationship with our kids and because we like each other. We divorced because Jim was a bad husband and not a great dad when we were together. Jim worked long hours to build a wonderful career while I had to neglect my career to be there for our children. He truly didn't understand until it was too late. He provided for all of us and still does provide for our kids. I'm grateful for everything he does, but admit that I resented him during our marriage because I had to watch his career take off while mine, the same career, stalled. Well, for a little more context, I married a mutual friend, David, 50 years old, of Jim and me. We were both divorced. No cheating was involved. And my ex has never had an issue with it because he knows that we didn't cheat. We both had a conversation with him at the start of the relationship, and he was actually happy for us. 4 years ago, Jim met Kara, a 34-year-old female, and they got married 2 years ago. It's her first marriage, and they've had their first baby last year. Well, as I mentioned, Jim and I have a great relationship that includes monthly dinner with our children and just us. We have been doing this since we separated 6 years ago, so our children understand that we are still a family and allow our kids the opportunity to share things with the parents and siblings without anyone else. The issue came up on Easter, and I'm not sure if I'm the jerk or justified. We were all at former mother-in-law's house for the holiday, and Kara was going on and on about how a wonderful father and husband Jim was, and to her and her daughter. I don't care because I know my ex has more time now than he did when our children were younger. I didn't really say anything until Kara looked directly at me and asked in front of the entire family why I ever gave Jim up. She also made a comment about me being too busy falling in love with my husband's best friend. I simply looked back at her and I said, "You know, Kara, he wasn't always a great husband and is only so wonderful now because I was willing to make a ton of sacrifices so he could have a successful career, but don't worry, you are very welcome for that." Almost everyone laughed, including Jim. But Kara was mad and texted me later that night to tell me how hurt she was that I insulted her and her husband at Easter dinner and said I shouldn't have been even there. Well, I ignored her text at first, but she called the next day and continued the conversation. The conversation eventually turned to me explaining that my marriage to Jim and her marriage are very different, and while I'm happy that they are happy and have a great life, she doesn't get to rewrite history or comment on the type of husband Jim was to me. I reminded her that Jim and I have spent many years working through a lot of stuff, and while she may think she's funny, she just comes off as insecure. So am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
OP, I don't think you're a jerk in this situation. I think you deflated a escalating situation. You make it a joke, it was funny to everyone involved, and I think that was that. Kara didn't take the hint. She didn't know when to quit while she was ahead. Instead, she doubled down and tried to make this about her. And again, this was a joke she made at your expense, and now she's complaining when you turn it on her. So I think that this is fair. I think that she needs to figure out her place in all of this, and maybe she is feeling insecure. And maybe she does feel like there's too good to be true type of situation, like, oh, why is Jim in her divorce when he's such a great husband to me now? And the answer you gave her probably doesn't really satisfy her because she doesn't really understand or see how Jim was at one point in time. So I don't know. I don't think you're a jerk in this situation, but I think it sounds like Kara has a little bit of growing up to do. So anyhow, take care and good luck.
She's also 15 years younger than her husband.
Not the jerk. Pretty audacious of her to assume the demise of your relationship with your ex was entirely on your shoulders. Not to mention, very insulting to accuse you of cheating. She needs to grow up and take responsibility for her words, especially as a mom. And OP says, thanks. Her comment about my husband was very odd considering we did not live in the same city when my ex and I split, and she knew that. Not the jerk, she can dish it, but she can't take it. This was absolutely none of her business. She had no right to make that comment at that dinner, nor to follow up with you, or a text or call. She is 34, going on 12. Yes, she is insecure. Alright, folks, it is tea time. Grab your tea, coffee, Coke, Golden Eagles, whatever you have. Spilled the tea all over the place, making a mess.
I didn't spill it. My desk was just booby trapped.
Booby trapped desks causing spilled tea everywhere.
No spilling. I only banged my elbow.
And more spilled tea in the form of Amber spitting it all over the place.
No spitting either. I only banged my elbow.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm so sorry. Why is the letter A like 12 noon? Because it's in the middle of day. Oh my goodness, that was the worst one yet, probably. There was probably worse ones. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And I have Mega Mint.
Same.
Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Getting My Makeup Done and Angering My Very Anti-Makeup Dad? My dad is very, very anti-makeup. He hates it and looks down on women who wear it. According to him, women who wear it are one, only doing it for men and therefore attention seekers, or two, are doing it to hide their ugliness and are therefore scamming men by hiding how they truly look, almost like beards. Even my mom hides her makeup from him and only wears light makeup that makes it appear as though she's not wearing any at all. My younger sister and I have all these ideas drilled into our heads our entire lives, and it's taken me a long time to begin to unlearn it. Well, I'm 18 now, and for the majority of my life, I never wore makeup. But recently, I started experimenting with things like lip gloss, blush, nail polish. I know that doesn't count as makeup necessarily, but my dad was heavily against that too, etc. I don't want to throw myself into the deep end and wear too much too fast, but watching tutorials is helpful, and I'm easing into it. My sister is completely against it and doesn't like that I'm going behind my dad's back. Well, recently, I went out with a couple of friends who suggested that we go get makeup and shopping. I was obviously aware that I'd have to hide all of the products that I bought from my dad. We bought a bunch of different stuff that I was excited to use and then headed to one of my friends' houses to chill for a bit. Well, long story short, my friend ended up doing my makeup. She also gave me a bunch of tips on how to apply certain products, which order to do things in, etc. It wasn't heavy makeup at all. Like I said, I'm still easing into it and I don't want too much too fast, and I looked pretty minimal in my opinion. After that, we hung out for a little while and then I went home. Since I was wearing makeup, I was also carrying a bunch of makeup products that I'd bought that day in my bag. I planned on just beelining it to my room because I didn't feel like explaining myself to my dad. But luck wasn't on my side, and I ran into him on the way up to my room, and he saw my face and immediately put two to two together. He yelled, called me a disappointment, blamed my mom for, quote, not keeping an eye on me, and letting me turn into, quote, one of those girls. He even dragged my sister into it, who did nothing wrong, and called her a disappointment too. It devolved into him claiming that if I'm willing to go behind his back and wear makeup, then it's only a matter of time before I start, quote, having adult fun time and getting pregnant instead of going to university. I was floored and I didn't know how to respond. I know he hated makeup, but I didn't think he would say all of this stuff to me. I didn't think that it was this serious. I'm not allowed to leave the house without supervision now, and all the makeup products I bought are now being returned. Am I the jerk? No. No, 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 OP. You're not the jerk.
Not the jerk.
What in the world? You're 18. You're literally an adult. You're allowed to make adult decisions. He can't keep you in the house. That's called kidnapping at this point in time. OP, you need to get out of that household ASAP. There is no reason that he should be returning your property because he doesn't like it. Like, maybe he might have been able to do that and get away with it when he was legally your guardian, but he's not anymore, and you don't have to put up with that nonsense. And the fact that he's resorting to name calling and insulting you just shows that he doesn't actually have any valid arguments, right? Because people who have valid arguments don't resort to name calling. That's not how you make a good foundational argument. He's being a real big jerk in this situation, and you just need to get out of there, OP. I feel so bad for you. He's truly, truly has a terrible point of view. And, like, for instance, let's just, for a moment, give one example of where he's completely wrong. He says that women only wear makeup to deceive men. What about lesbians that wear makeup? Why would they wear makeup if they weren't trying to attract men
Or deceive men.
or deceive men? You know, so his arguments don't even have like valid points at the end of the day. If you like makeup and you want to wear makeup, do that, right? I encourage anyone who wants to look or present themselves a certain way to go ahead and do that. You have one life to live, and if you feel comfortable and want to express yourself artistically using makeup, I think that's a perfectly good way of doing that. So I think that makeup can be a very artistic endeavor. I think that there can be it can be a really interesting outlet. You can do a lot of neat things with it. I've seen some people with amazing makeup, and I think that's really neat. It's really a cool way to express yourself. So I think that you really, OP, just are better off trying to get out of this situation as soon as possible. I know they're probably providing rent or something like that to you, but you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, is it worth it? And I can guarantee it probably is not worth it. So, yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, your father doesn't hate makeup, he hates women. This is exactly what I was thinking. I don't like makeup and I don't wear makeup at all, but I'm not going to stop my daughters from wearing it. Also, lip gloss and nail polish? Those aren't even slightly the same as wearing makeup. At most, I would let my daughters know the reasons that I don't think makeup is good for the skin, and I let them make their own decisions. She needs to try and get out of that house ASAP. Exactly, all of his reasoning is completely illogical and misogynistic. If only women wear makeup to get attention from men, then I guess lesbians just, I don't know, are fake unicorn aliens. I love how this person thought went in the exact same place that I did here. Well, also, like, there are asexual people who wear makeup as well, who are not attracted to anybody. So, I mean, why would they be trying to attract people at that point in time? So, people just like makeup sometimes. Not the jerk, your father is a sexist, misogynist abuser. He doesn't hate makeup, he hates the idea of a woman he cannot control. Seems pretty likely. Seems pretty likely. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. And if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a good start to your week. And I hope everything is going magically wonderful for you. Not just wonderfully, magically wonderful. So, anyhow, take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
I'm a 48-year-old female, and I was married to my ex, Jim, for 49 years.
Before I was born.
Before I was born, I was married to Jim. Jim and I were destined to be together, the stars said so. When he saw me birth that year one, I knew it was then and only then, that we would be together for the next 50 years. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. The blooper reel is going to be on fire. I was like, what in the world are you even talking about? At a certain point, Brian, it just becomes people thinking that you're really insane. Shh, don't tell them my secret.